Hello, YouTube. I gotta remember, I'm at a new camera now. Everything looks a little bit different right now because I am in the sort of home stretch of getting ready for Syncup 2024. We are now going to be having our second annual in-person event in literally a week and a half, less than a week and a half now. So it's coming down to crunch time. I'm basically setting up my multiple cameras here, kind of getting my OBS system set up. As you can see, you guys can see me from the side, see me from the front. I'm definitely enhancing the experience this year. Last year we had I think we only had one camera actually for all you virtual people. So sorry, probably felt a little like you were excluded from the room. But this year, actually this camera over here is going to be the one that I have at the front of the stage. So you're actually going to see the speakers and the CEOs and myself, guest speakers, all that kind of stuff, talking with this camera. It's got a nice wide angle actually, so it can capture if we had like 2 or 3 speakers at once, which we might have. And then this one is actually going to be turned on the crowd. So for those of you that are going to be in person, you'll be on camera. So make sure you do wear your Sunday's best and comb your hair. But I wanted those of you that can't be there in person to have a little bit more of an immersive experience, because we have a lot of great questions. A lot of the members, attendees come up to the front of the room, ask a question with the microphone. Reminds me, I got to make sure I have that mic stand. I got to do a checklist. Almost every day as I'm getting ready, I'm like, crap, do I have this? Do I have that? Anyways, so last year we had a lot of great interaction, a lot of great questions, and I want those of you that can't be there in person this year to at least have kind of an experience or a feeling like you are sort of in the room with us to the best of our ability. You know, I had this really ambitious thought that maybe I could put are the cameras synced up? Are they? Maybe they're not actually. Let me see. Yeah, they are, more or less. I think they'll be off by a millisecond, but they're close enough. And I'm also using my lapel mic, so hopefully this is sounding, it's probably not going to sound as good as my normal mic setup, but hopefully it's decent enough. And I'll be testing this, of course, when we get to the venue. But yeah, I had this really ambitious idea of, you know, having a 360 camera where if you were watching the event, you could literally turn the camera and look at anything you wanted to while we were going. It's too ambitious this soon into our sort of annual event, our annual Syncup sort of story here. We definitely need to develop it a little bit more and obviously ramp it up a little bit more before we do something like that. But this is definitely going to be a step up. And also, if you guys attend virtually, you'll be able to get access to a Zoom breakout room. So while we're doing some in-person networking during some of our breaks during the days, Saturday and Sunday, June 1st and 2nd, you can definitely jump onto a Zoom call and get to know the other people that are attending Syncup virtually, and hopefully create some great direct connections and relationships. That's really what this is all going to be about. So it's going to be a really fun time, very memorable, of course. The link is in the description box below if you do want to join us. And of course, with your in-person ticket, you get that guarantee that any CEO that you submit your music to will listen to your music, absolutely will consider adding you to their roster. They decide if they want to. If they like what they hear, your phone number and your contact information go right along with your submission, so they can reach out to you directly to create a direct relationship. That's what Syncup is really all about. It's the direct connections between you and the people, the human beings that are essentially the decision makers and the gatekeepers essentially for getting into a library. So that's definitely one of the biggest benefits of showing up in person, is not only the submission opportunity to get the guaranteed listen, but also just the chance to hear directly, network with in person 7 different library CEOs. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you guys to do that. If you want to attend virtually, you still can have access to that submission benefit, but you do need to upgrade your virtual ticket. So you'll see on checkout that there's a little way you can upgrade your your ticket, so that you can get that guaranteed submission, guaranteed listen by any one of the CEOs. You have to pick one. You can't submit to all of them, but you do need to, after the event concludes, it's going to all be recorded. You can watch it afterwards. Pick basically after you've learned from all of them, heard from them. You should get a pretty good sense on who you feel is the best fit for you, who you feel you connect with the most, who you feel like is just the best match for you and your personality, your music, your talents, what you can provide to this industry, and then pitch it off to them. And if they like what they hear, they will definitely reach out. We had many members last year actually secure their first deals and sometimes second or third deals with library owners as a result of Syncup. So again, that link in the description box, you can actually go check out all of those testimonials, videos, and written ones of people who actually not only were there in person, but some that attended virtually got direct deals as a result of Syncup. And that's really the main point of this event. Many of you have been submitting your music to libraries and not gotten anything. Maybe you don't even know if they're listening to it, or you've been monitoring your stats and you know that they haven't even clicked on your link, and you're pulling your hair out wondering, like, is my music there? Is it not there? Like, I need to know, like, I need to get some helpful feedback here. Syncup is absolutely meant for that. It's meant for those of you that have been in the dark a little bit unsure. Is it you? Is it your music? All that kind of stuff. And you want to just go like, damn it, I want to get somebody to listen to my music. And like, literally, if I know they've listened to it and they don't reach out to me, okay, then at least I have some sort of a point of feedback there. But many of us, myself included, over the years, submitting to various libraries and getting rejected, ghosted, ignored, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it really does take the wind out of your sails. Let's just be honest. It's just a part of this business that sucks. It's unavoidable. It's just a part of our journey to try to be successful. But it is a part of it, so we have to kind of be honest about that. So hopefully Syncup can be a situation and an opportunity for many of you guys to create some direct relationships and find and network basically the right people to partner with if you feel that that's going to be beneficial for you. So with that out of the way, I've been getting a lot of cool, interesting comments from my video I released this morning, which was kind of a ridiculous skit. Obviously, you can tell that's why I'm not an actor. But it was basically this just compelling thing that kept on trying to come out of me. It was this idea of being in school, and I remember having so many memories of this, sitting there waiting for the class to begin. I had my homework done. The kid that shows up late didn't get his homework done, wanted to copy off my homework, and I thought, that's exactly the feeling I'm getting from these generative AI companies potentially training off of my music and many different copyright holders' music, and not asking for it, not consenting, and not paying us, and not asking if they can do that, right? It's that same kind of pit in your belly feeling of like, man, I worked for this. I actually did my homework. I spent a lot of time doing this. And you're just kind of showing up at the very end, tail end, and taking my hard work, my labor, essentially, and then profiting off of it. So it doesn't feel good. That's just how it feels. And I get it. How I feel and how copyright owners feel is not really a legal argument. It's not a legal argument, and it's not a factual argument, okay? So I'm not trying to conflate the two to think like, well, I feel a certain way, so our laws should change. That would be a horrible precedent to set. I don't want to set that precedent. But I just, think it's important for us to just be like transparent about how we're feeling and not filter ourselves and not censor ourselves for like how we feel about this at this moment, right? And in time, things will change. I'm sure some new, technology will get there and some new business models will emerge. And my point of view on this will certainly change. I'm sure how I feel about it will definitely change. But, I've definitely gotten quite a few of comments. One of them is just like, it's almost like criticizing that I'm showing some emotion over this. And that kind of thinking I definitely won't stand for. Like, I have every right to feel mad. I have every right to feel rage. I have every right to feel concerned, worried, even excited, optimistic. And I can show emotion in my videos. That's legal. I don't think they've outlawed that yet. It's okay to be a human being and to have some emotions around something that you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, which I have. Many of you have as well. I know you guys watching this for sure. And just want to say hi. Hey, Cone here, Arco, JI, Isomatic. JI, I got to give you like a crown, man. Your comments, I think above most people's comments, have been making me think much more deeply about this subject. You definitely get the Effort Post award, man. If I could give you one, I would definitely give it to you. So you've been really contributing a lot to this. So thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, the idea that like the criticism of like, you're just upset, you're just worried, you're just anxious is like, yep. Am I not supposed to feel? Emotions are now done. AI has taken over our emotions too. Okay, so now we need to all speak with corporate speak, and we have to not show any emotion. We have to not feel positive or negative, but now we speak with neutral tones. Like, get out of here, okay? I'm gonna feel how I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna talk how I wanna talk. I'm gonna say what I wanna say. It's not illegal yet, so I'm going to take advantage of that, okay? YouTube hasn't banned that yet. So I'm going to just be honest about like, yeah, there's some parts of this that don't feel good to me as a copyright holder. So, for all of you guys, if you're feeling a certain way about this, whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling upset, you feel mad, you feel rage, you feel whatever, feel it. It's totally cool to feel how you are feeling. We're all in this journey together. We're all processing this in a different way. And this idea that some people are just so above their emotions that they're just looking down on us who are, having some struggling or some challenging emotions, I don't buy that for a second. We're all human beings. We're all emotional creatures. If you don't think we are driven by our emotions, primarily, way above logic, way above rationality. Like if you've not figured that out yet about human beings, I think you got to look a little deeper into your own soul. Like that is what we are at our essence. We are emotional creatures that respond to emotional incentives. We like to do things that make us feel good. We don't like to do things that make us feel bad. If you want to summarize us, that's really what we are. We are emotionally input-output creatures. That's primarily what drives us. So let's be honest about that and let's be cool about that. That's fine. It's okay to feel however you want to feel. The other one was like, and I know obviously some of you are probably, even some of you guys watching right now, maybe are sort of like not too happy about all of the AI content I've been putting out lately. I had this one comment just this morning saying, dude, like, I'm getting a little tired of this. You've now put out like 15 videos straight on this AI stuff. Like, you haven't put out a video in forever about really just sync or why you're doing what you're doing or whatever. And I said, well, that's not true. Like literally it was like 2 or 3 days ago, I did a whole live stream about how sync saved my life, like why I got into sync, why I started this channel. It was actually because of me thinking like, well, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds of AI. I really want to make sure that I kind of zoom out every so often and remind myself and remind all you guys why this is so important to me, why I have a lot of emotions involved in all this stuff, and why I do feel like I want to be involved in this fight for the good, for I feel for a really righteous cause, for the people that have been showing up and doing their homework with their music, right? So I'm like, okay, well, that's not right. Like I just did a video, it was like an hour long about like a really, I think just vulnerable emotional story about why I was feeling so enslaved by my day jobs and how sync licensing got me out of that world and gave me some freedom back, and why that's my why for why I keep showing up on this channel over and over again, to try to help you guys find a little cut of that, a little taste of that freedom for yourself in one way or another, right? Some of you for a lot, some of you for just a little bit. But even if it's not pure freedom or total freedom you're gonna get out of sync licensing, maybe just your reignition of your love for music or anything like that. I was talking about some very, very great, just amazing stories from many of our members and many of the subscribers of this channel over the years. So I'm not losing track of my focus here on the channel. So, and also got to point out that I have about 1,100 videos on this YouTube channel. Okay, it's kind of ridiculous. It's almost like maybe a confession of an obsession I have with creating content, but maybe about 3% of it is AI focused and 97% of it is sync licensing focused. So feel free to just not watch any of the videos that have anything about AI in the title or in the thumbnail for the next couple of weeks or months as we still keep going into these topics, and binge 1,000+ videos that are all about the sync stuff that you're probably more interested in. So I'm not abandoning all of that. That's all still there. You can absolutely go to my channel. I probably have the richest, most diverse, most in-depth video library online, educational library online for free for anybody to learn about sync licensing right here on this YouTube channel. Still here. Nobody's taking it away from you. You don't have to, I'm not holding you hostage to watch any of these AI videos. Just skip them all. Don't watch them if you're not interested at all. But of course, my thing is that I'm having a hard time, especially when these really seemingly existential moments in our industry are popping up, right? It's not here yet. I get it. There isn't an AI model actively that we know of serving, a network or a cable company. That's not here yet. I don't think the quality's there yet. There are some concerns that probably cable companies would have about using that. And precisely because that's not happening yet, this is the moment to talk about it, right? I think you guys understand that. We don't want to wait until it's already been disrupted before we start taking this potential threat of our source of income here extremely seriously, okay? So it's kind of hard right now for me to go, okay, existential, like I've always used that analogy that, many of you have gotten onto our cruise ship. I won't use the word Titanic, okay? We don't want to say that, but we've all got on this cruise ship together, okay? I kind of see myself as a captain of a sort, right? Many of you are on this ship, we'll call it the sync licensing boat, the cruise. Many of you got onto this ship maybe as a result of me, right? It could be other people, you may have known about sync licensing, but something maybe about one of my videos or one of my services really gave you some confidence and some excitement to really want to take this seriously and devote serious time, okay? Maybe before it was like, yeah, that'd be nice. And now you're like, no, you know what? Every day, I'm getting into the lab, I'm getting into my studio, I'm spending a couple hours, I'm consistently cranking out music, I'm gonna pitch the music libraries, maybe I'm gonna attend Syncup, or I'm gonna go join some premium platform to try to get some better education or some better connections as a result of all this, whatever. So I'm sitting here as the sort of captain on the bridge, looking out, trying to keep everybody safe, trying to keep everybody on the boat, giving you guys a good time, keeping you guys as best educated as I can. And way off in the distance, I see this white thing. and it has a big label on it. I can see the label. The label says AI. It's got a big flag, let's say, but I can't quite tell how big it is yet. Can't quite tell if it's a big nasty thing underneath the surface that could rip our boat apart. Maybe it's a tiny little thing that won't bother us at all. Maybe we'll go right by it, we'll skim it, and it'll just shave off a bunch of ice right into our margarita glasses and make our trip even better. I don't know, right? I have no clue how that thing in the future is going to affect us right now. That's been the point of many of my recent videos. I'm not confident about if it's going to disrupt us or not. You shouldn't be confident either. And anybody saying they know exactly that it's either not going to disrupt us at all because of X, Y, or Z, or it's totally going to replace all of us, sync is all over. Okay, that's just cheap and easy words to put out online. And we all have biases here. Just remember that. Anybody giving a confident prediction about the future has a bias. I do too, okay? I want us to be in control. I want us to be steering this ship going on its really fun cruise, pursuing the sync licensing career. I do not want to have AI machinery come on the board and take over our good time. I would rather keep us in charge of it, having AI being a tool that we can harness and use, okay? That's my bias. I'm a sync licensing producer. I've got a whole business here educating you guys on it. I got a YouTube channel called Sync My Music, okay? If there's one person on planet Earth that is the most biased in this subject, it's right here. You're looking at them, okay? But I'm aware of that. I am aware that I have a bias that can absolutely cloud my judgment and give me blind spots and have me not see things that could potentially be an issue for us moving forward. And I know that's a weakness, that's a vulnerability. So I am trying to get out of my own vulnerability, out of my weakness, to try to find something that can really help and engage me to be better prepared for the future one way or another. So as this existential, potential weird thing in our side of eyesight, line of sight, that's what I'm trying to say, this, you know, avalanche, man, my brain is still not quite woken up yet. This iceberg potentially out there, it's kind of hard for me to like, all right guys, let's talk about how do you email a library today? Like, let's talk about how do you put together a structure for your track? Let's talk about, like, it's negligent. That's how it feels. It would feel very negligent when I get these kind of like, you know, big topics that pop up for us, for me to kind of go like, all right, yeah, that's there, but like, don't look over there, guys. Don't look. Don't look. Let's not talk about it. Let's not think about it. Just focus on that wonderful margarita you got in your hands. Let's just do the mambo. Let's just do the, you know, let's do the tango. Let's crank up the music. Let's just dance and fun and have fun, and let's play in the pool. It's not what a very responsible captain would be doing, right? So it's almost impossible for me to sometimes, you know, we will get back to obviously our topics that we usually do, but when this surfaces for me, it's like, well, if this is going to be an existential moment for us, is there a point in going into the specifics and the details of sync? If this is really what's around the corner for us, that doesn't seem like a thing that I should be getting distracted with, meaning I should not be distracting myself with the party of the cruise when the journey in front of us might have some rough waters or a potential, you know, end to our party in the near future, right? So that's where I'm kind of having a, you know, my brain is like, I could easily, I have all the knowledge and, you know, the experience and all that kind of stuff. I could go back to all those topics right now, just ignore all this, but I know that I'm not going to be sleeping well doing that. Just to be honest with you guys, I will not sleep well, not just going into the weeds with some of these topics and trying to, you know, better prepare all of us for this the best that I can. So anyways, welcome to everybody. If you guys have comments, questions, concerns, any feedback for me, put it in the chat. I love to read. I always love having this conversation with you. As I said, the live streams usually have the best comments, the best quality thoughts that I usually see on my channel. And also, you know, I'm going to be doing a lot of these live streams for the next week, essentially, and probably all the way up until the day of the event of Syncup, because I'm warming up my vocal cords by doing this. So that's why I've been doing a lot more of these lately. My voice, obviously, it's got that low kind of vocal fry, which is annoying. Now, I'm born with the voice that I'm born with, and it gets tired. And so if I don't kind of go to the gym doing this kind of thing, sort of warming up my voice for longer streams before we get to our event, then it's a much rougher time for me. So last year I remember doing this, and it made a huge difference to just have my voice kind of warmed up, used to speaking for hours and hours, because this is essentially going to be like 2 full days, you know, 9 to 5 is the official time of the event, but you know we're going to be hanging out before it. We've got that VIP premium dinner Saturday night. We're going to be talking during lunch. So, you know, I'm going to be talking for an entire weekend essentially. And I'm not, you guys see me and know me as a talker. In my personal private life, I am a quiet person, which is kind of crazy to think. In fact, I was so quiet in junior high. My best friend, who I still am buddies with to this day, said that people would come up to him and say, does Jesse talk? Like, is he mute? Like, they literally thought that maybe I didn't have the ability to speak. I was that quiet in school, and many people who I didn't talk to. I was just so quiet, so shy. I'm just naturally, I'm much more introverted. So I sort of trained myself, learned how to talk, how to be on camera, how to be a little bit more social. And obviously during the weekend, I'll be plenty social that way. But it's not my natural speed. My natural speed is actually to be a lot more introverted, much more in my head, much more thinking. That's kind of where I live most of the time. So. Yeah, that's a great point. Berkman saying the difference seems to be your paper is private and not published public. Yeah, that was definitely one flaw in my sort of analogy there. Yeah, absolutely. I do need to make a sort of version 2 there. That was definitely kind of like got an idea, write up the script, shoot it real quick, edit it, put it online. It was a very, very quick thing, but it just kind of was like my feeling in the moment. But I think you're absolutely right. I could probably make another follow-up version 2 to it that's definitely more about like, this is publicly published, whatever, information that AI is training off of. Absolutely, that's definitely a weakness of it. Yeah, cat's pajamas, that's a really good point. And somebody was giving me that kind of criticism on the skit video, is that consent in the past was never considered, like when we put our music online, right? When I've been putting my music into a library or on YouTube or anything, all of you guys, we all agree and consent that human beings are going to hear it. That's the whole point of it, right? Why are we getting into the sync license? We want other humans to hear our music and enjoy it. But when we did that, AI generative models that were working on a for-profit business model were not on planet Earth yet. It's like this alien invasion just happened, right? And so we're all going like, okay, yeah, because they'll say like, you know, the obvious feedback is like, well, dude, you're saying that like humans shouldn't train off of your music and you shouldn't train off other humans' music. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Humans. Up until now, we've been only talking about humans, and that's been a part of the deal. The deal was you put your music online, people can get inspired by it. They might make something that's similar or inspired, or as long as they're not directly ripping it off, human to human. This is called human creativity. I don't think one single person has had a problem with that. That's not what's at stake here. That's not what we're talking about. Generative AI technology is not a human brain, right? I know it does things similarly, right? We understand all that. We understand that there's definitely a lot of similarities, but this is definitely entering something new. It feels like it's something new. Obviously the capabilities, even if you disagree with me, you have to admit that the capabilities of a generative AI model are fundamentally different than the capabilities of a human brain. The amount of input it can take in, the amount of output it can spit out, it's a different thing. You know, it's just a different thing. And so I think it's not something that we should just be like, you guys are just whining, complaining, and bitching about it. Just get over yourselves. You're not that important. And you know, somebody even said on the channel today, like, you should be proud that you're contributing to mankind's biggest, you know, whatever, technological innovation. Like, if your music has been trained on that, you should just be thankful and proud for that. They didn't say thankful. They said you should feel proud. I said, hey, if you feel proud to have your music trained on it, great. Feel proud. Some of us don't feel that that's really how we just don't feel that way right now. We just don't feel extremely proud, especially since nobody came and asked us, would you like your music to be included in this amazing technological feat, right? If they just asked us, maybe we would. Maybe we'd feel like, well, okay, on our terms, we're gonna set some terms for that. And then yeah, maybe we'd be really excited and we would be the ones promoting it, right? Another thing, I'm gonna release another video. How many of you guys knew that will.i.am was a supporter of, I know it's now what, Udio, not Udio, right? People are saying you're saying it wrong. Right, like I really care about getting their name right, okay? They've shown a lot of respect, it seems like, to artists, so we need to show them a lot of respect, right? I'm gonna say whatever I wanna say about them, okay? Udio, I don't care. We gotta come up with a funny name for them, guys. If you guys can come up with a really funny name, a parody name for them, I don't know what I'll do, but I will be very happy to hear, to read it. But yeah, no, not all of us feel extremely proud to be contributing to this thing. Some of us that have copyrighted works that have value, market value, are not exactly excited to be a part of this journey without our consent, because that's kind of what it feels like. That's what it feels like right now. That's just how it feels, right? Swoosh, you're here for the AI content? Cool. Well, once I go back to once I go back to sync stuff, you'll probably be like, dude, will you stop talking about the sync stuff? That's all you talk about. Like, yeah, that's primarily obviously what this is about. But these worlds are, I think they naturally merge. I don't think this is me just like, hey guys, let's talk about how to grow a garden in your backyard, right? This is obviously something that's really, really important to us. It's very, very vital for us too. And that was another thing I wanted to, this is definitely turning into kind of a rant stream, but whatever. Somebody said, oh, there's no such thing as creativity. Every idea is stolen, everything's borrowed, everything's just remixed. So essentially like giving up this idea that you have anything special with your copyright. Nothing is original, everything is stolen. Great. Easier to say that, okay? If you feel that way, that copyright's kind of useless, everything's stolen, there's no value in any of that stuff. Okay, cool. My email, just so you know, is jesse@syncmymusic.com. I'd like you to email me and transfer all of your copyrights over to me. Okay, so everything you've ever created, any of your music, also moving forward, I would like to basically create kind of like a slavery contract with you where just anything you create moving forward is mine, because you don't need to hoard that for yourself, right? Like you didn't write any of that stuff. You didn't come up with it. You stole it all, you remixed it all, you just basically resampled a bunch of music and it's not valuable, right? And you definitely shouldn't be creating any sort of exclusive rights over that stuff that you created. So if that's really how you feel, I'm gonna put your money where your mouth is, and I'm gonna challenge you. Email me, let's do I'll make the contract. You don't have to pay a dime. I'll make the contract that essentially anything you've ever created with a copyright belongs now to me, or maybe I'll have it in my company, Sync My Music Inc. And also anything in the future that you create belongs to me as well, okay? Cool, right? Because there's nothing original, there's nothing creative, nobody has anything of value to add, we're all just stealing everybody's music. So okay, so let's just get rid of the whole copyright system. If that's the case, if you feel that way, put your money where your mouth is and literally forfeit all your copyrights. One thing I'm curious about people who feel this way might, and this is gonna sound elitist, but I'm sorry, again, I'm just gonna be honest, might be people that don't have copyrights that have commercial value, right? That's kind of the elephant in the room here. Some of us have copyrights that have created significant commercial value for ourselves, for our library partners, for the TV and film industry. There's actually money flowing around and contracts and actual work being done around our copyrights. I think that does put you in a little bit of a different category than somebody that's having fun, making music, making great, beautiful, amazing music as a hobby, right? And maybe are not monetizing at all. Maybe have tried to monetize it, but haven't really done well doing that. Again, it doesn't mean my music is better. Definitely not. I'm the first to admit my music is not the best music on planet Earth. It's not even the best music in any of the catalogs that I got my tracks distributed through, okay? It's not meant to be like a quality judgment, but I think some of us have skin in the game financially that most musicians and producers don't. Let's just be real about it, guys. As I've told you, 3 to 5% of people, I think, can thrive with sync licensing. That means that 95% of people are spending a lot of time making music that probably doesn't have commercial value. Doesn't mean it doesn't have artistic value or musical value or emotional value or any of that. No, it has. It could probably have all of those things, okay? This channel is called Sync My Music, meaning synchronization, meaning monetizing your music for the TV and film industry. That's all we've been focusing on in this channel. It's not about how you can be creative or how you can just fully express your inner emotions or how you can blah, blah, all those things are great. I don't feel like I have any business telling you guys how to be creative. No, everything we do is say, hey, you've already got creativity, you've already got this passion, you've got this drive, awesome. All we're gonna do is help you channel all that creative energy into this industry that can help earn you some money with your music and maybe create a sustainable source of part-time or maybe full-time passive income for you in the long run. Not gonna be easy, not gonna come fast. You guys all know that, okay? So some of us, I think, have more skin in the game in terms of being concerned about generative AI and not being asked for our consent. One thing I was driving into the office this morning, I thought, we can maybe reframe this as like the music, my music, right? Just me, okay? Let's make it personal, right? Somebody was asking like, well, how much of your music is really out online that could potentially have been trained by AI? I'm like, well, about 1,000 tracks. They're like, okay, well, are those just beats or are they full songs? I'm like, does that matter? But it's both. Most of my music has been instrumental production cues. I've done, a handful of albums that do have full vocals and stuff. But I lost my train of thought now. We were making it personal, something about my music. You guys help me out here. What was I just getting into? Help me, guys. Oh, it was one of these big payoffs I was going to have, and now I feel like I'm letting y'all down. Creativity and passion along with persistence equals success. Yep. Talent for sure. Damn it. Ah. And it's going to come back to me in like 5 minutes, and then it'll have lost all of its allure when I get there. So, well, hopefully one of you guys can remind me. The quietest people have the loudest minds. Yeah, I think you're right, Jay. That's a great point. Again, a gold star. Another just perfect comment there. Mixed Club, good info. Who else do we have to bounce ideas off? Thank you. That's exactly what I like to do this for, is to challenge myself, and we can kind of talk back and forth in friendly, respectful terms, right? I agree with you. My friends are tired of talk shop, so this is good. Hopefully spelling is okay. Absolutely, man. And Mark Cooper, I've been doing art for 20 years, and AI significantly slowed down my commissions. So people say AI won't change anything or full of it. Not everyone needs a specific result. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that, Mark, and you're not the first I've heard that from. That it's disrupting you. It's sorry. You guys got my tea, coffee, tea, whatever. It's yerba mate. Just so you guys if you guys are ever wondering, I am drinking yerba mate mixed with a little bit of coffee. I'm kind of going into this blend, but yerba mate, 100%. I'll tell you why. With coffee, if you guys just drink straight coffee, you guys know what happens. You drink 1 cup, and then after like a week or two, you're like, I need a second cup, right? Your tolerance, does it go up or go down or whatever? But then you just need more and more and more to kind of feel like, all right, I got my buzz, my caffeine buzz, right? Yerba mate doesn't ever do that to me, ever. I drink the same amount every single day, have been for about 2 or 3 years now, never need to up the dose. There's a different quality of maybe the caffeine or all the cool stuff in the plant of yerba mate is doing that. I don't actually know. It's not cheap. It's definitely a little bit of a step up from usual just drinking your coffee, but I will highly recommend yerba mate. It's a really, really great thing. So, having skin in the game, cat's pajamas. Okay, I don't know if that necessarily got me back in there. Yeah, I still don't know where I was going with that. Something about an AI model training off of my about 1,000 tracks. Trevor, hey, what about a mock debate where 2 people try to debate the 2 sides of the AI issue? Well, guess what, Trevor? That's what I've invited you to be kind of a part of, if you can join us hopefully this Wednesday. That's what I've been doing with ChatGPT, is having this ridiculous conversation back and forth. In fact, I wanted to record it. It's really amazing. If you guys haven't used it, it's really actually been helpful for absolutely going back and forth. And I actually love that idea where we just do a debate between somebody that goes for or against. And Trevor, I definitely emailed you about this, and Mike as well. I did a live stream just yesterday giving what I think is our Achilles heel point of view, steel manning the opposing view. You guys have all heard, Trevor, I'm sure you've heard that like generative AI music won't have copyright, so therefore no TV network or cable company will touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? That's been this kind of very nice thought, very comforting thought, maybe convenient argument and talking point that seems to be kind of killing the entire issue for most people to say, well, I'm not worried about it then. No copyright, no sync. We're not going to be disrupted by it. Well, dig into it a little bit more and then start to think a little more critically about it, and you realize that that's not like the safest bet for us. There are actually many elements of non-copyrighted music which are actually working against human creators and actually working for AI generative companies to serve our industry instead of us. Will they do that? I don't know. Is it worth their time? I don't know. Dives in the email folder. Yeah, check it out. I emailed you and Mike, so hopefully you guys can. Mike said he could come this Wednesday. And for those of you guys that are watching right now, come back. Hopefully, we'll get Trevor and Mike, and then we'll definitely be kind of pitching Syncup, and because that's basically just a week and a half away, so that's going to be a really, really good time. But it sucks. It really sucks to get out of our own bias and to have to not straw man something that's inconvenient for us, but literally argue its best foot forward, right? And really go like, okay, no, I really want to be out of my bias, and let's almost pretend like I don't have my bias. What would the other side, like what is Udio, whatever, saying right now to themselves? And let's pretend that we are in their position. If they're doing what it sounds like they're doing, right? Training off of copyrighted music, potentially not getting consent or licenses for that. If that's what they're doing, how are they justifying this to themselves, right? What is their point of view in terms of, no, this is fair use, this is totally cool, we're not harming anybody. You really have to kind of like get out of your own point of view to kind of argue that side, which I do often, and what I've been doing on this channel more and more, and we're going to keep doing that. And that's going to make a lot of people mad at me because I am essentially a very unpopular messenger sometimes, I know, and I'm very clearly aware of that, guys, that sometimes the person pointing out inconvenient truths about our world or our life usually gets shot at because they're the person making you feel uncomfortable. And so that's definitely going to be me. Some of you are going to be mad at me, shoot some arrows, not going to feel good about me. That's okay. That's just sort of a part of the deal here. I'm very, very aware of that. I'm willing to take that on. I still think we got to do it. I think we've got to be the adults in the room. We have to kind of keep our, and also one thing I've noticed since that Udio video has gone out, I've been approached by pretty big production music library representatives that are interested in this, and they've been following and now watching a lot of my videos and going, you're putting out some really good content. Like your content is making us think a little deeper about this as well. So I'm getting indications from not just, everybody on YouTube, or not everybody, but a good number of you guys. I appreciate your guys' encouragement, but I'm also getting indications from the players in our business, the actual people in the industry who really have a lot at stake, saying, keep this up, this is good, thank you. We're getting smarter as a result of these videos and the stuff that you are diving into. So what else could I do with that kind of feedback from actual production music libraries, right? So I'm really, really stoked at that. Okay, Mix Club, you got an update on Isotope, cool. So they train on targets that were generated from the latest chart-topping hits in each genre, country, EDM, folk, hip-hop, rap, and more, and no other info. So the question would be, I guess, did they get consent to train on that? That's interesting, yeah. So if they're saying that they did, they said that they did. So that's right off the bat way different than what we're seeing from some of these generative AI music companies. They're just at least admitting, I'm guessing you're saying that they put it on their website or some press release or whatever. This is how we got this Isotope mixing assistant, mastering assistant to work so well, as we trained off of these chart-topping hits. If they're being transparent about that, already going in a much better direction than most of these AI companies right now, right? So I'm glad for that. Next would be, did they get consent? Did they ask? Should they have to get consent? Because their model is not necessarily spitting out anything generatively, but they're basically using the sonic quality of those mastering and mixing engineers to then create a potentially replacement product for them. I think that's a pretty strong case that they should be getting consent, asking for that. But yeah, that'd be interesting, Mix Club, if you can figure that out, if they did get consent to do that. Swoosh, okay, you said you got, I'm guessing, Udio to make speeches and comedy, etc. If you guys play around with any generative AI model and it spits out something that sounds a lot like copyrighted music or copyrighted content or a voice or anything like that, first thing, download it, okay? Don't leave it on their website. They can take that down, they can do whatever they want. So the first thing you need to do is figure out a way to get a copy of it off of their website right away. Secondly, email me. I'd like to talk to you about it, maybe we can make another video about it. I definitely would like to be somebody that can help expose more of these really nefarious, dubious, unclear business practices of a lot of these companies. I think right now, because we are in the Wild West, we need to kind of expose the most that we possibly can for a lot of these companies. So if you guys do get a little interesting result out of anything, Suno is who I got my eye on right now. I don't know if you guys heard, they just raised 125 million. Hooray, congrats Suno. Where'd you get your data? Where'd you get your music? How did you create an AI model worth a damn that was able to garner $125 million worth of investment? Well, we don't know. They're not saying, but there's obviously been some suspicious output at Suno as well. So if you guys go play with Suno and find something really interesting, obviously, I'm open to having a conversation about that. LH is saying most tech workers have no idea about copyright law. They confuse "I can see it" with public domain. Yes, publicly available is this phrase that OpenAI has used. Many other companies have said we only train on stuff that's publicly available, which does sound like they might be trying to confuse that with public domain, which are definitely not the same thing, right? Publicly available means that like somebody put out a movie online, somebody put out a song online, and they want the world to watch it and listen to it, but they want to be paid because they put a lot of time and effort into that, okay? So absolutely, you're absolutely right that they are trying to maybe do this quick switch on, well, publicly available, public domain, kind of the same thing. It's all free game, right? It's all just, free range. Anybody can take whatever they want. Not liking that for sure. And LH is also saying 20 years ago, even LLM academics avoided training on copyright materials. Yes. How many of you guys watched my interview with Ed Newton Rex on this channel, like literally, a month ago? He made me aware that prior to 2022, every generative AI, LLM company, anything, had the assumption that if you're gonna go get data, you gotta go ask, you gotta go license it, you gotta go pay for it. OpenAI, it seems like, may have opened up the floodgates because what they seem to have done is potentially trained on the entire internet. Some they've licensed, it seems like they've been paying, and now they're being much more, they did the Reddit deal, they just did like a News Corp deal. They're now announcing, hey, we've got an agreement with people who have content. We're now asking them, can we use it, right? But up until then, how much of that were they actually asking for? I don't know. New York Times doesn't believe that they asked them permission to train off of their articles, so they're suing them, okay? So because OpenAI took over the entire world, all the venture capital that was in crypto and NFTs before was looking for a new home. ChatGPT blew up the world, blew everybody's minds, and all the money went rushing into the generative AI space. And so now we're in the situation where companies like Suno, if they are, I don't know if they are, but if they are training off of copyrighted music and not getting a license for it, and then being rewarded by the industry and the marketplace with $125 million investments, what signal is that sending to the world? Have at it. We're in the Wild West. You can train off of anything, no consent. And these companies can attract legitimate money. $125 million is no small chunk change. That is some significant bucks being thrown. The music industry is obviously pretty small compared to other industries, but for our industry, $125 million is nothing to laugh at. That is a lot. So this is concerning. That it doesn't mean they're going to succeed. There's been companies that have way more investment. Just look at that Humane AI pin. If you guys didn't check out that one, somebody was trying to create basically a pin that was AI powered that completely flopped, and they're basically bankrupt already. So this is something that doesn't give you a guarantee just because a lot of millions of dollars are getting thrown at you, they're going to succeed. But we need to kind of do what we can to kind of push this forward in a direction that we want it to go in. Yeah, and Cat's Pajamas, you're talking about 11 Labs, they're promoting some stuff, and some of it sounds like Tom Petty. Yep, and they're not being transparent either. And this is what we all do. We are sheep, right? So we see what the previous guy got away with, and 11 Labs is looking at Suno right now, definitely looking at Suno right now, and Udio, and going like, well, they're not disclosing where they're getting their data, and it looks like they're getting investments, so do we have to? Right? This is what we all do. We kind of just are sheep, we follow whatever the last person was doing. So unless they're forced to, they're not going to be showing and disclosing where their data is coming. If they do, man, I'll be the first to come on here and say thank you for at least being transparent about where you're getting your music. Whether or not you licensed it, maybe that's another conversation. But thank you, PG. He's saying I don't owe anyone an explanation for the response to the direction you've been taking your channel. Some of us are grateful for the knowledge and foresight. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I know many of you guys are really into this and you're interested in what we're doing. So. Yeah, send it to me, Swoosh. I don't know exactly what you got there, but if you got something interesting, download it, okay? Definitely get it off of their website, download it, have a copy for yourself. Because they have a habit of removing and deleting things that become a problem. So make sure you get a copy of it for sure. But send it to me, jesse@syncupmusic.com. I'll take a listen. Be curious to see what you found and what you got there. And another point for sure, which is interesting, is like, you guys remember back when Napster and file sharing was becoming this really disruptive thing that was taking over, all of the music industry's money, basically. The argument was, you're just going to play whack-a-mole, right? You hit Napster, and then LimeWire pops up. You hit LimeWire, and then I don't remember what the other ones were. Kazaa, right? You hit one, it's just whack-a-mole, another one will pop up. True. we all agree. So same thing here. So even if you like, sort of make it illegal or you don't allow in some way regulation or something like that, you just sort of like have a common practice of like, hey, if you're going to train on copyrighted music, you got to go get consent and pay for that, right? Even though there could be a anonymous open source model that could pop up and just say, to hell with your laws, I'm not doing that, and you can't trace me, you can't find me, that kind of stuff. That's absolutely true. But think about today, and this isn't something that just happened today, but over the years, how prevalent is file sharing now? Like how many people are still using a Napster? Well, Napster I think is something else now, right? I don't know what Napster became, but like a LimeWire or a Kazaa or something like that. It's still out there. You can Google search it right now. You can find torrents, you can find file sharing networks. It's still out there, right? How much of that is creating a significant amount of damage to TV, film, or the music industry? Minuscule these days, right? Because we basically set the standard and the precedent of, if you're going to be a legitimate company operating, this is not something you can do. You definitely cannot get public funds. You can't become, can't get investments publicly or that kind of thing, running your business as a file sharing network. We sort of said like, we don't like that, okay? So yeah, it'll be whack-a-mole and there'll be many others that pop up, but you can also set a precedent to say if you want to be legitimate, you want to be above board, and you want to actually have a profitable business that people can publicly invest in and be a part of safely, you're going to have to play by the rules. So I don't think this is one of the things where it's like, well, it's, what's the point of even trying it, because it's just going to be whack-a-mole. You could have made that same argument with file sharing networks and it was still, I think, the right move, right? Okay, thank you, Swoosh. I'll check it out after this one. Yeah, the UK is proposing laws for data transparency. We also have one that just got introduced, actually from one of our local California representatives. We'll see if that one goes through. That would require generative AI companies to disclose the data that they've trained on, basically to provide the receipts. So I think that's an interesting move. Whether or not that's going to actually move the needle or not, we'll see. No, and Mobsters has a great question. Have you ever tried creating a song in UDO? Do you think you can get the same feeling from doing that compared to if you created it normally? No, not even close. That's kind of been a big point I've been saying many times, is that prompting music is a cool gimmicky trick. It's really impressive. The little machine. You guys saw my little skit this morning, right? Little amazing machine. Took a lot of work to do that. Absolutely impressed. We're all impressed by the machinery. But then at the end of it, you're like, but what I prompted really didn't feel like it came from me. It's not really feeling like it expressed me. And again, it's kind of a weird thing, but like, I want to suffer in my creative process. I don't want to just click a button and have it done. I can go play video games if I want to click buttons and have things done, right? Like, why do we go to the gym if you could just go play a video game where you're working out and boxing and stuff like that? Like, why would we go put ourselves through physical exertion when you can just click a couple buttons and basically have this sort of proxy of that on this video game? We all know it's like you get a completely different experience putting yourself through the rigor, the process of the creative process. So yeah, there might be some instances where I want to use AI. If there actually does become an AI mixing or mastering assistant, which is better than Isotope. Isotope is not there yet. I mean, maybe you're going to get there at some point, but I would probably use that. Like, I want to create and focus on the chords and the lyrics and the melodies. But the minute that I'm ready to like hit play and publish and bounce or whatever, yeah, I'd like to just click one button and be like, hey, make this sound really good and like at the right levels and stereo spread and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I necessarily feel a lot of creative expression mixing and mastering my tracks, just for myself personally. Some of you do. That's cool. Maybe you wouldn't want to use that. You're like, no, that's a really important part of the process for me. It's sort of like putting the little glue at the end of it, so I want to hold on to that. Great. Don't even mess with it then. For me, not that important. I would be happy to just click a button and basically have that part of it completed for me so it feels right, or at least started completely, or at least get me in the right direction and maybe sort of fine tune it. So, but yeah, we're all going to have a different way. But yeah, something that's like, here's your chord progression, here's your lyrics, here's your melody. Even if I provided the lyrics and I give it sort of a prompt of what style of music I want it to go, and it just generates a song, which is great, I still won't feel ownership over it. And I can't, because there's not going to be copyright associated with it. But yeah, I think we do need to be all mindful of, just because you can do something very quickly now doesn't mean you should be doing something very quickly now, especially if it's your creativity and your artistic expression, right? Yeah, and James is talking about web scraping. One of the similarities or comparisons that we got out of this was, how many of you guys were familiar with the Google Books case, where basically Google went around and sort of made digital copies of, I think it was millions of books. It was this very ambitious project. Basically made digital copies of all of them, and then allowed people through the Google search to find snippets of all the books that they had made their copies of, right? And so the Authors Guild sued Google, and they said, dude, like, you just made a copy of all of our copyright protected works. Not cool. You'd have to come ask us for that. What are you doing? So big, long lawsuit, took like something like 10 years or something for trying to play out. I mean, I hope that our, lawsuits right now with the generative AI companies don't take 10 years, but you never know, right? But anyways, in that case, essentially Google won. Google was able to make the digital copies of the books, make it available for search, snippets of the book. They didn't give you the full book, okay? That would have been a different kind of a claim. But the author said, basically, you're taking our copyrighted works, you're adding value to yourself, you didn't ask for permission for us, and you're just basically making it available on the internet for free, right? So you're damaging us. Google argued what we did was transformative. First of all, we're not giving your full book away. If we did that, yeah, that would probably be a copyright infringement, but we're giving just little snippets. If somebody searches for something and your book covers that in a page or a paragraph, I don't know if it was a page they give you or whatever, but we'll give the viewer just a little snippet of it. And very importantly, Google would link you to the full book, okay? So you learn about some subject, you get a little snippet of one of the pages, and you're like, wow, this author really helped make sense of this. I'd like to learn more about it. Thank you, Google. You helped me discover this artist, this author, whatever, publisher. I'm gonna click on it, I'm gonna go buy their book maybe now. Go read it, download it on Kindle or something like that, right? So the court said Google is enabling people to discover, right? It's benefiting actually the copyright holders and the publishers and the authors of those books, because now anybody with an internet connection can discover them. If they, prior to that, you'd have to go into a library, literally be at the right place at the right time looking for their book. And how many of us actually are going to go do that? Very few these days, for sure. And then secondly, what the courts decided is, they said, Google doing this, making books more readily available to the public, to the general public, to our country, to the citizens, is a public good. It's actually helping us to be smarter, more well-informed, better read. This is actually a good for society, that we do want to say we encourage this kind of a thing. And you might not think that the courts are weighing that kind of a decision, but they absolutely are. That's definitely a consideration. If what's happening with this murky copyright situation is broadly benefiting society, that works in the favor of somebody maybe doing something that is not clear in the copyright law. So you take it over to our side. So if I go prompt something with Udio and it sounds just like Mariah Carey or Wham or anything, does it give me a link to say, hey, did you like that? We actually learned that from these artists or this primary artist. And not every track feels like there's a direct, like you could click on one link, but one of my favorite all-time punk bands is MXPX. I don't know if you guys even know who they are, but way back in the day when I was first getting into punk and rock and stuff, MXPX was like the safe punk band that my parents would let me listen to, so that's why I got into them. But I prompted Udio the other day, asking it for some pop punk, I don't know, it was just a generic thing, and what came out was absolutely an MXPX-inspired track. Did they give me a link to MXPX to say, hey, did you like that? Well, go support this artist, because this artist is the one that helped us create this, right? I didn't see any link. There's no transparency. There's no direct link to help me access or discover or support financially, maybe, the thousands potentially of copyrighted artists that they trained their model on. So nobody's helping to discover the original one, as opposed to the Google Books situation they did. They were helping you find those artists. And then of course the bigger question is generative AI music a broad societal benefit? Like, is it really adding that much value to our world that we don't want to stifle it, really? We want to make sure that it's like, no. Think about how much value our society will have having a prompt to finished piece of music model at our fingertips. Again, my bias is obviously, I don't think we were suffering without this technology. I don't think anybody's really, some people are definitely having a lot of fun, totally understand that. But is this broadly making our society better? Maybe that's where again, I'll be right here on this live stream. I've got a blind spot. My blind spot won't let me see right now what the strong argument for that side of it is. But you know what? There is a strong argument. I don't know what it is. somebody can maybe help me out here or in a comment below later. But my blind spot won't let me see that right now. So I'm just telling you, like in real time, you guys are seeing how cognitive bias works. It just doesn't let you go down certain pathways because you feel like your point of view is so strong, and there's no way somebody could be on the other side of that. Somebody is, and somebody probably has a really strong take, and I'd like to really be a curious person to go find out what that take is. Just reading more of your guys' comments here. So Third Eye Blind is saying, the argument is AI just gave the opportunity to many to create music without record labels. Not necessarily. I've been making music for 16 years and well before that without a record label. So you've never needed a record label to make music. Like I've got a guitar right there. I could make music since I was 4 years old without a record label. I think what you mean to say probably is it's allowing people without a musical background to create music, right? People that don't have maybe the training, don't have access to the resources, don't have somebody that, I was lucky that I grew up in a household that valued music, and I was given piano lessons. I was bought a guitar when I was interested in playing guitar. I was bought a drum set when I was really interested in drums. So definitely, I have a very, very grateful and amazing background in terms of having just parents that really valued music and then supported me going down this pathway, right? So I could definitely see that side of it where it's like, hey, this is now leveling the playing field. So if you didn't have parents that cared about music or gave you the opportunity to explore your musical talents, here you go. You can kind of now realize, oh, this is maybe something that I can do. So I could see that point of it for sure. I don't know if that's sort of like broadly helping society. It's definitely helping people, as opposed to, comparing that to making books readily available for everybody on planet Earth for free. I don't know, because alongside of this, you got to realize that generative AI music is going to be spitting into our world at an ungodly pace, crowding out all of Spotify, maybe crowding out stock, probably, maybe crowding out sync, going in and basically creating more headaches, a lack of transparency, people not now knowing, is it AI, is it not AI? There's also sort of a con to everybody being able to prompt something and throwing it into the caution to the wind and just putting it into the internet. So, but I definitely, and that's one part that I don't want to be so negative on this technology at all, because I think it's really cool. Because here's the other flip side of this: how many kids are going to be, or whatever, using these models right now? They'll generate something, they'll release it online, they'll get like one person saying, hey, this is kind of cool, I like it. How many of them will go like, you know what? Maybe I should go learn how to make music. Like, it might be the open door where they go, I thought I had some musical talent, but maybe I just never pursued it. I thought that wasn't for me, or whatever, any reason. And then because of these tools, they actually go get Logic Pro. They go, buy a keyboard or a guitar or something like that. And they're like, you know what? I actually want to make this like for myself. I don't want to just prompt my music anymore. Now that I got a little taste of how it feels to get like positive recognition for something creative that I'm doing, I do think this could be a sort of a, like a gateway drug for people to get into making music for the first time that maybe they haven't. So I think that could be a really cool thing that could people to inspire them to be more creative for sure. Third Eye Blind, well, what if an AI song sounds better than the new Billie Eilish album? I have no doubt that an AI song will sound better. The question will be, will it move you as well? If you're a Billie Eilish fan, right? I'm not a huge fan of hers. I think she's got some cool stuff. I didn't even know she had a new album. I'm not gonna really follow her or anything like that. So for me, there's not really a big connection between what she's doing with her music and me. So, but my favorite band, Seven Dust, if they put out a new album, I'm waiting till midnight when it drops. I'm going to be the first to listen to it, right? So even if AI is spitting out like a better sounding Seven Dust than what Seven Dust can do, I might listen to it for the novelty. I'd be like, hey, this is kind of cool. It's doing it, whatever. But it's not going to create this human-to-human connection. I'm not going to be a fan of that thing and go like, man, when is this AI going to go on tour? I can't wait to go wait in line at a venue and go watch it perform on stage, right? There's obviously a massive difference. So I kind of see a lot of this AI stuff will be sort of very gimmicky, kind of like junk food. It's going to be very bright and flashy and shiny and really impressive. And quickly it'll fade off in terms of like, well, that was cool, and then it'll just sort of be gone. You're like, I want to get back to kind of the music that really means something to me. I mean, that's just for me, not for everybody, but for me. And a lot of times, music I listen to now is a lot of music that I grew up on. I'm kind of going back to some earlier genres, some earlier stuff, and it's like, am I listening to that because the melody is such an amazing melody and the recording is so great? In fact, most times, no. Like, go listen to early MXPX music. It is god awful. The recording, horrible. Sometimes not even in time. Tuning issues. Sonic quality is garbage. Like, almost sounds like demo. Some of the earlier stuff. But when I listen to it, it's more than just that. It's about where I was emotionally. It brings me back to my childhood. It brings me back to the thoughts and the emotions and the concerns I had back then, right? So that's something that AI is not stepping on the toes of and helping me create those gaps or to help me walk down memory lane. It's not going to be doing that, right? It's going to do some very bright, flashy, impressive things, but it's not going to be tapping into my childhood memories to help me remember the music I grew up on. So now that's a great point though, because what if kids today listen to AI music and then when they're 40 years old, they start going back to like, man, I remember that AI artist that I loved, right? It's actually a good point. Maybe I just killed my own point there. The speed for sure. Yeah, how fast generative AI companies can do it, which is more disruptive than what human beings are doing. So yes, I think that's why it also deserves to have a different consideration. It's not just another person listening to my music. That's not what we're talking about here. And AI music will make me cry, guarantee you that. Will make me bob my head. Already has. AI music has already made me laugh my butt off. I have been laughing out of control over some AI generated music already. So emotionally, we're going to be moved by it, no doubt. I have no doubt that's going to happen for sure. Already is starting to happen with me. So that's not in question for sure. The Motown versions, yeah. Kendrick and Drake beef tracks. I've heard some amazing, cool remixes of things. Trevor, I don't know if he's still here, but Trevor has shown me some really funny ones with Cartman from South Park singing pop. I mean, there's so many cool, interesting, creative, and ridiculous ideas out there. And if the artists are controlling that, I think that's a really cool way. Like, imagine I've had this kind of hypothetical scenario. Imagine it's like BeatlesAI.com. You got to pay it, right? Maybe you can get a tiny little sneak preview of it for free, but if you really want to get the full song, you have to pay them. They control it. They trained it off of their own voices, off of their own music, off of their own catalog, and you can go generate a new Beatles song in any era you want, like their 60s era, 70s era, 80s era, wherever you want. Like you almost like select which album you want it to kind of sound like, right? And then you put the lyrics in, or you just give it a topic of like, hey, I want you to sing a happy birthday song to my 3-year-old daughter named Grace, right? How cool would that be? That I do it, they get paid, they're giving me consent, I'm above board, I get to use this, maybe there's some restrictions on how I can use it, but then I get basically a brand new Beatles song that never existed that's about either me or my family member or somebody that I care about, a friend for his birthday. So it's almost like the modern version of Cameo. You remember that, where you can get like a shout out from your favorite celebrity or something like that? This would be like a new version of Cameo, but with the artists, the publishers, and the copyright owners in control of it. I could be really excited about a future with that kind of technology. Berkman saying it's public good to increase access. Randy Travis lost his singer's voice to a stroke. Just put out a song with his generated voice. Not everyone has a body that works, but still have great ideas. Yeah, I can absolutely see that. But that's his voice, right? His voice, I'm sure that he trained off of his own music or whatever, and putting it out, totally. Like, nobody's got any problems with that. And I think that's a really cool thing to use. Like, again, most of this technology is going to be used for great things like that, which is beautiful. And like, yeah, even as you're listening to his new track that has an AI voice, you know that it's AI, you know it's really not him. But then there's that means something though, right? As you're listening, you're like, man, like this is still, he's still got it. His voice is gone, but he's still there, right? So that's a really beautiful poetic use of this technology to sort of bridge the gap between a human limitation and using technology to bridge it and to still get the ideas out to the world, right? Yeah, LH, you like the idea of creators controlling derivative works. Yep. And tomorrow, I think I'll release it tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a really interesting video about Will I Am. He is listed on Udio's website as one of their supporters, which I'm assuming means he gave them money. Will I Am is an artist. He's a producer. He's got commercially viable copyright works in the world. And I found a really interesting interview where he's saying some really good things about generative AI and what he wants to see for the future of this, yet he's backing companies like Udio, or just them. I don't think he's backing any others. I don't know if he's backing any others. So I don't know. I think really at the end of the day right now, I've got skeptic mode on 100%, and I'm looking at people's actions way more than their words. Suno, who just got that $125 million in their little press release, said that we're just so grateful to be able to, I think they said something like harness or whatever they said, our most precious resource, which is human creativity. So they gave a big nod and a big verbal, poetic emphasis to the fact that human creativity is a very precious and special thing. Okay, follow-up question here. Does humanity's most precious resource deserve compensation, credit, consent, or nah? Whatever, just take it. What are you guys doing? So we're all really happy for you that you got $125 million. That's great. Keep it up. How did you earn that? So did your AI model just learn off of music theory? It just came up on all this stuff on its own. It just happens to sound like all the amazing, modern, awesome artists that we know and love by itself? Wow. Okay. If that's actually the case, you deserve $1 billion because boy, you probably just cracked the code on like nature or something like that. I don't know how you did that. Oh, maybe you didn't. Maybe you used the labor, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears, literally the money, the financial investment of maybe potentially tens of thousands of artists, hundreds of thousands of artists to do that. Anyways, I will leave you guys with that depressing thought. So come hang out at Syncup. This is what it'll kind of look like when we start going live. But obviously we'll also have some presentations, some music we're going to be playing, and some really cool things. So thank you guys so much for chiming in. Great thoughts, great feedback, all that good stuff. And hopefully we'll see some of you there, either virtually or in person, June 1st and 2nd in a hotel very close to the LAX airport. It's going to be a really great time. Hopefully we'll see you guys there.